Hi there, welcome to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, David Batsoffen, and I'm very pleased to welcome to the shelf the author of a brand new book. It's called Nomad Heart, Adventures on and Off the Set, and it's written by Ian Roberts. Ian, good morning and welcome to you.
Hello, David. Hello from the Far East here.
Definitely from the Far East, and I have to tell you, I have read your book. It's here with me, with all the pages demarcated so that I remember what I was reading. I love the book, Ian. I really and truly did, but for a variety of reasons. So what I'd like to do in order to kick our little chat off is I'm going to start with the last 3 lines of your book, which are, well, the last paragraph reads as, "Retirement has always seemed a strange concept to me. You surely have to keep working at whatever you're doing to get better at it. Or, as we say in the Radio Kalahari Orkes, hoe kan jy dit ooit opneek as jy dit nooit eers in die eerste plek reggekry nie?" And for those who don't speak Afrikaans, it is, how can you screw up something you've never even got right in the first place? That should have been the first line of your book, Ian, because from there, your road to where we find you today at the Ark in Leidenburg has more twists and turns than the Swartberg Pass.
Wow, yeah, it is. You've hit the nail on the head with the Swartberg Pass. Yeah, look, it's just the way it turned out. I can't, or is turning out. I can't really think why. Maybe, David, these convolutions in my road are because of some persona or something that I have. I don't know. But I have answered the call, as I said in that little thing about the army, that it did teach me one thing. When you see a gap,
take it.
Firstly, to see the gap, then take it. Yeah.
Let's go. What is it, Ian, about the waters in the Eastern Cape that have produced so many theatrical geniuses? And I include you amongst those, the likes of John Carney, Athol Fugard, Alice Krige, all came from Port Elizabeth and surrounds. And it's very difficult to find somebody who didn't have beginnings in Port Elizabeth one way or another. You went to Rhodes.
Yeah.
Luckily, you took drama, because if you'd taken journalism, you wouldn't be able to spell. Rhodes students can't spell.
I heard this, yeah.
So
no, it's an Eastern Cape thing. You know that David Lange, the guy that we do a historical tribute to on stage with the Orkes, he was born between Alice, where Fort Hare University is,
correct,
and Fort Beaufort. He was born about 5 miles in the old distance from where I was born. You know, in 1905, and he went north and he became a big hit in Rustenburg, Joburg, Pretoria. You know?
You see, I mean, with the last time you and I broke bread together, which was not too long ago, we discovered that we were both doing national service at the same time in 1971.
Exactly.
Who knows, we may have marched past each other.
Highly possible, but we wouldn't have recognized each other.
Neither of us looked like this then.
No.
Yeah, the book is published by Jonathan Ball. It's just come out. It's still warm off the presses, so to speak. Take us through it. What did you want your reader to get out of this book?
You know, it was an ongoing organic process. If I had to think that I started off with an objective, I would be wrong. When I was doing The Wild, I started to write anecdotes because I met this Russian guy on a movie set, and he told me, "You South African, you always make a joke. You know, in Russia, we don't do joke." I said, "Yeah, what do you do?" He said, "We do anecdote." I said, "Really? Anecdote?" And I said, "Yeah, give me an example of an anecdote, Rudiger." And he told me the story, which I cannot repeat on public media, but it was bloody funny. And I loved the notion of the humor of the Russians, you know,
Yeah.
with this anecdote. So then I started to write in the combi going out to the wild. Every morning out of Joburg, we were on a Toyota Ace, you know, van, actors all sitting there trying to look intelligent, like 7 o'clock in the morning. And
Difficult.
then we'd head out to Heidelberg. Heidelberg, we would just bus, shoot all day, get in that taxi and come back. They estimated that the taxis in the short while that we did the wild had done over 1 million kilometers. So that's how much we drove. But I had a computer, a very good Apple computer that I had used for editing a movie that I had shot. So I started to write things that happened in the past and on movie sets and so on. And they just got more and more and more. Then I went for a walk in Delta Park with a friend of mine from the Eastern Cape, and we parked this 1600 combi of mine, like an old camper, at where the security guard watches your cars, you know.
Yeah, right.
I came back in there, and there, yeah. There was the combi vanishing down the road with my computer, with everything. And I just kissed it all goodbye, you know, goodbye.
Yeah.
And then when Corona hit us, Corona, the debacle of Corona hit us, we had to stay indoors. And because we were all such good boys, we were grown up at St. Andrews College, you did this, and you were in the army, you knew this is the order, the government said stay inside, we did. And I started writing. And that was solid 2 weeks. Now, I can write a lot in 2 weeks. And it added up to around about 480 pages that I'd written. And then my woman, Francoinette, nothing is yours, sorry, not my woman.
Yeah.
The woman, Francoinette, the mother of my children. She said one morning, "Fok die regering. Fok hierdie kak. I'm opening my studio." And that was the end of that writing. Because I also went out the bush and the baboons greeted me there. You know, they said, "Where you been, man? Hey, we haven't seen you for 2 weeks." And then I sat with the stuff. So I took 70 pages and sent it to Jonathan Ball via a friend of mine, Nico Moorman, who wrote the book, The Boer Hall. Nico gave me the name of Annie Olivier, who is high up in Jonathan Ball's commissioning, you know, saying what will be published or not. I sent it in. She sent it back a short while later. It had been read, and they said, "Look, this is not the kind of thing they're interested in. Really, it's not at all in any way what they would think of publishing." So I thought, oh, well, you know, I gave it a go. Then they said, "But at the end, there's a little page of this email. That is how we like things to be presented." So I went there, and it was quite simple. It was actually saying, we need a chronological order to your work. You cannot come with all this variegated stuff like an octopus colors changing. So I said, okay. They said, "But don't bother if you don't get back to us, because very few people do."
And you thought,
"You got the wrong man here."
Get me a challenge.
I rewrote those. But the interesting thing, David, is what Jonathan Ball, Annie Olivier got me to do was, for the first time, go back into my Eastern Cape past. Don't think it's irrelevant. You know what I mean? And that was crucial when I wrote the next 70 pages and sent it to them, and which they then said they were very curious about and they wanted more. That is the crunch I found, because in a way I had been not ignoring my past, the little things, you know, of the past. And so I can only thank the team at Jonathan Ball, mainly Annie Olivier, for just saying to me, "This is what we want. If you don't want to do that, that's fine."
Yeah.
But yeah.
And actually, here is the proof of that.
Wow. It's unbelievable.
And you do. I mean, you start this book. First of all, I always read acknowledgements. And I really enjoyed the fact that the dedication in this book is to the people at the big house where you grew up. And it didn't stop at your family. It went through the staff who saw you through your childhood. And I'm sure if some of them are still alive, I'm uncertain of that, they would be extremely proud of you today. Or their offspring would be. But you start up by saying, I grew up with many scary things on the doorstep of my childhood home at Butterford Citrus Estates in the foothills of the Catberg. And then you take it from there. And I think, or for me anyway, it set a really good tone for the rest of the book, because I know you via theatre and film and television, and of course, RKO, which I've followed virtually from inception. But this gave me a different insight to the Ian Roberts that I've sat at tables with or watched you on stage. And it gives you a depth that I'm uncertain if your audience even knows you have.
Yeah, my sister read this book. She got a hold of me yesterday and she said, Jane doesn't effuse about things easily. She's born in the sign of Libra. She's very balanced. Everything's, and she's done very well for herself. Having been called by herself the dumbest of us 4 children, she has really excelled. And she got on to me yesterday and she said, I'm absolutely astounded at how little I knew about you.
Yeah.
And she's my sister. She should know.
let alone just an acquaintance like me.
Yeah, I mean, crikey, look, we've talked quite a few times, and we share so much in the past together. You with the people you know, and the ones I know.
This is the scary thing. There are instances in this book that as I read them and laughed, I'd wondered, were there the hand of corporate lawyers involved going, Ian, tone this down or change your name. Don't say that, because there's going to be blowback if you do. Or did you just go, you know what, stuff it. I'm writing it as it is, and we'll deal with the fallout if there is any, if it comes.
That all comes from them, from the publisher.
Yeah.
And I found them very discerning and very intelligent in terms of what they wanted to contest, They look, this is a bit tough. I said to them, look, what I write here really happened. And I've got a very good memory. So I know I've tested these things with people. I've come to them at the age of 70 and said, can you tell me about that day? And they say, this and this and this. And they, So they said, there was one instance where I told the oak, I'm going to fuck him up, And they said, no, you can't say that. Do it nicely, like you're going to attack him, but you can't say fuck him up.
It sounds too harsh.
Yeah, which is actually what happened, and I had every intention of doing so. The Canadian who was put onto me, Alfred. Oh my word, he lives in the Cape now. So he said to me, "Hey Ian, man, that piece about fucking that guy up, man, I really like it." Can't we keep try and put it back in again, And this Canadian had a beautiful other view of what is allowed,
You're right.
So between me, Annie Olivier, a lovely girl called Corin, who's now gone on to Penguin Books, and between us, we came to solutions on all these things. And there are things that were kicked out that were put back in. I don't know. I haven't read really in this book whether the one where Dirk de Villiers came into the theatre at the Baxter in Cape Town, into the bar. Things, David, things have become so PC,
I think that is in there. It seems to trigger a memory for me, having read the book. It may well be there. But what I do like, Ian, and you mentioned the wild earlier, so I want to go back to that, and then we're going to talk about Marnie.
Okay.
I know that the wild ended up with a lot of wild between the producers and the channel and the director and all of those people. And it fell apart.
Yeah.
But what I liked was the fact that you say in the book that the crew got more and more raucous. And then you guys as actors couldn't take the time. You had no silence to work in. And you stormed off after having stood up and screamed at all of them. You stood up and walked off set. And that made me laugh because as a floor manager, I've done that once or twice where people have really ticked me off. I've stood up, taken my cap off, flung it on the ground and gone, I can't work like this. I will be in my trailer if you want me. And I've stormed off set.
There you go.
But what really irked me about your story, Ian, was the fact that somebody on the crew, and we shan't mention names, people can read about it in the book, had the audacity to come to you and say you were rude, you must come and apologize to us. No.
Exactly.
You, as crew, should be on your knees outside saying we are terribly sorry because without you, we don't have a job. It's as simple as that. Crew are easy to source, boy. Easy. You can pick them up a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And I thought you dealt with it so well. And it was just a pity that that particular series saw an early death because it could have become something really worthwhile rather than the rubbish that gets churned out now just to fill time
David,
slots.
On the topic of the wild, what's interesting is that of the family of my family, my Karel's family, I think everyone was going to leave anyway at the end of the year. They all were young, hot under the collar actors who believed that they had great potential and that the wild was just a stepping stone. Well, they stepped up into bloody cesspools, bro.
You see, and I'm sure you found this because we're of an age, so we've come up the hard way. We've done our hard yards in amateur theater and all of that type of stuff. And then you get these youngsters. Sorry, he's talking on a television.
Yeah, I'm talking.
And then you get these youngsters that arrive with a certificate from certain colleges and they go, I'm an actor or I'm a cameraman, give me a job and I want 10,000 Rand a minute. And you go, no, but go and make me a cup of tea. Oh, no, I don't do that. Well, you do now.
You do now, bro. You see, the thing is, David, this is a monstrous topic, what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
And I tried to put across in the book the feeling of reverence that we had for what we were gifted to be able to do. We've all felt humbled by the fact that we could actually make a movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a TV series or a movie. It's all the same. It's a set, okay, soapy, that's another ballgame.
Yeah.
But the wild was a movie set.
Yeah.
Okay, they had 3 cameras running sometimes and 2 cameras other times, but that was a movie set. And the lack of reverence of saying, wow, look what you've got, man.
Because you mentioned that when you worked with Mani, how he operated on set and how he allowed you, pardon me, to be and to do. Yet, if he didn't like what had happened, like with one particular young actress, again, her name's in the book. If you want to read about her, then do so.
It happened, man.
And it happened. And he had to fire her because she didn't fill the basically terms and conditions of the role. And he was man enough to say, I've made a mistake. I need to move on.
Yeah. She that's what he tried to explain. She's not acting well enough.
Yeah.
It's the image that she cast when she got into the frame. And Mani always said, I feel so terrible that but it's my mistake.
Yeah.
I'm the one that feels terrible. The actor must never feel terrible.
But Mani also seems to work in a similar vein to Clint Eastwood, who never says action and who never says cut, I believe. He just works quietly and he allows the actors just to be. There was a scene in one movie of his. They had a young boy who was really battling. Every time they shouted action, he froze. So Clint said to him, let's just run the scene. And very quietly, he signaled to the cameraman to roll. But he didn't signal cut. And he just let the scene run. And when the kid had finished doing what was necessary, he signaled to stop, and they got the take that way. And Marnie seems to have worked in similar vein.
He was unusual in many ways. And one of them was that he would not tolerate any kind of rudeness to actors. You know, the days in South Africa, they've changed. We've been through all of this stuff. We've been through where black people weren't really accepted. You know, we were there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you felt. You know, and we were on a set one day near Harry Smith. And the movie was written by Nadine Gordimer, where she wrote the story and then scripted it about this girl who has, this white farmer's son who has a scene with a black laborer's daughter. Okay, so it's highly contentious. And I had to hide on top of a mountain with long binoculars to tell them when the dust clouds were coming of the Buddha coming to beat us up. Yes, Bob, that's what I did.
It sounds so weird, Ian. You know, if you tell drama students today, when I worked on Ipitombi or Luluwena, that the security police used to sit outside the theater watching us because we were working with, inverted commas, black theater. They won't believe you. They don't believe you that there were segregated audiences.
No. But on this movie, what happened was the focus puller had to take focus marks. You know, the camera had most focus marks. On Nomsa Nene, the actress, who was running towards the camera, from the farmhouse to the camera. That's hectic, you know?
Yeah.
And this oak got up on the trailer and he said, okay, walk, stop. Walk, stop. And every time he would make his mark, walk, stop. Like he was talking to a retrogressive chimpanzee. And we were talking to one side because it's just focus marks being taken. And Normani just stopped talking. And he walked around to the guy and he said, excuse me, who do you think you're talking to? And the guy said, well, sir, I'm just doing the focus marks. So that's what he said. Get out of that seat on that crane. Go away. Go and learn some manners. And when you do, come back again. And I think he got up there and did the focus marks himself. Okay, he walked now. With respect.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah, and that's where he was at. He was like in this other world when we were still in the other world of racial whatever.
There's another piece that I'd like to read again from your book. And I'm just trying to see where it is that I picked it up. Oh, here, it's from, you talk about Marnie's death, which was obviously incredibly moving and meaningful for you. Because in the writing of the last time you spoke to Marnie, the first sentence of that sort of paragraph, I realized that it was going to end with him killing himself. So you wrote a whole poem, and I'm not going to read the whole poem, but the stanza that I liked is, while we, the left behind, are just the uncertain, timid vacillations of our buffeted mankind. I mean, it's just, it's beyond, not unintelligible, because that makes you seem like you're not capable of writing poetry, and I'm certain that you are. But it obviously was a big moment in your life and very, very meaningful.
Yeah. You know, in Hillbrow changed from being one of the most glorious places in the world to a dangerous place.
Yeah. Gee jou hart vir Hillbrow.
Gee jou hart. Goodbye, Hillbrow, man. You wonderful. I worked there in the theater for months. I walked home at 4 o'clock in the morning, every morning after partying all night at Club 58. No one even begged from me, you know?
You probably
That's our
look
change.
you probably look worse off than they did, Ian.
Yeah. It's highly likely. But the interesting thing is that when we shot there on that morning that I wrote that poem, it was like Hillbrow could get those winter horrendous days when everything is ice cold, where the air smells of petrol, where, you know, and also the exacerbating thing of danger, which never used to be in Hillbrow.
Yeah.
And then I thought of the spirit that had also a very brave spirit who had gone. And then I thought, wow, you're released from this grunge that we're sitting with here.
Yeah.
We still got to shoot movies here in this mess.
So,
anyway, that was the vibe when I said in my notebook.
It makes me think of the guy that was being led to his execution, and it was pouring with rain. And he was laughing, and the guard said, "Why are you laughing? We're going to hang you in a moment." He says, "Yes, but you've got to walk back in the rain." The book, the book is called Nomad Heart. It's published by Jonathan Ball, Adventures on and Offset. Ian, where is it available?
It's going to be, I was told that the printing press is in Joburg. So it will extrapolate. It will move out from Johannesburg.
Okay.
On the 18th.
Right.
18th of September. And it comes to different places at different dates, you know, but it will get to Cape Town obviously very soon, or even on the 18th. And then in the smaller towns, it will come a little bit later and so on. But from 18th September.
It's the copy that I have is in English. Did JB publish one in Afrikaans as well?
Yeah, look here. Look here.
It's the J.
It's been translated by a very, you know, they sent me 2 sections that he translated, which like I must read and see if they're not. No. And is a man of words, man. And Afrikaans is a language of not English words, you know. And that little story in the army where we all get stripped of our rank with a guy pulling the ceiling and so on. He made that in Afrikaans. It was so funny that I couldn't stop laughing. and Francoinette came to me and said, "Are you having a heart attack or something?" I said, "No, I can't."
Did you say who wrote this stuff? But now
this
the J. Another one is Nomad Heart. The English version. And I know that you've also done an audio version. Is that available yet or not?
I think it is. I've done an audio on only the English, obviously.
Okay.
The Afrikaans version was still being finalized.
Yeah. Ian, it's been wonderful to chat to you. Thank you very much for a most entertaining read. I do hope there's a Nomad Heart part, or is the J part 2, and maybe even part 3. Who knows? But the book is out now. It's published by Jonathan Ball. My guest today on Off the Shelf, Ian Roberts. Once again, Ian, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you, David Batsoffen. It's been wonderful talking to you, really, like always.